burgers as well. Just unbelievable, but is unfortunately a trend that we've seen this year. Want to welcome onto the program Joe Kent, who last time it was his birthday. This time it is New Year's Eve. I see a trend here, big holiday. We welcome him on. Now, Joe is a career workforce development consultant, knows the city like the back of his hand. Joe joins us live in studio. Joe, happy New Year's Eve. How are you, my friend?
Happy New Year to you, Ben. Thanks for having me.
You know, and what the city would probably say, at least some on the city council, which includes, I think, some quote unquote conservatives or Republicans, is that if we just have a joint county branch of government where the city collaborates with the county in a great idea called More for Memphis, which is going to focus on this public safety issue that we have, which is affecting restaurants like this, these businesses that can't keep their doors open due to crime. In 2025, things will get better. Only there is a catch. It will come from your dollars. It will come from your wallet. What do you make of it?
Well, the More for Memphis, I'm not saying that More for Memphis doesn't have anything to offer or any capacity, but they have given us a $1 billion public plan, and nobody's really gone over it. Nobody's gone over it. I'm actually going over it right now. And, Michael Whaley, the chair of the county commission, is ready. He wrote it. He's ready to give them $500 million in local money to do whatever they want to do. And and it's crazy that they haven't gone through this thing and really taken a look at it.
Yeah. Okay. So you cover a lot of what's happening fiscally, financially in the city of Memphis and the county. What is happening with the city? Because I know they are saying crime is down, but crime, specifically homicide levels, are not where they were before the pandemic. They're still right up there, over 300 homicides this year.
Right.
You have business after business, it appears to be leaving. I live downtown Memphis. Right. It's really sad. Mm-hmm. What is the fix? Is the fix more investments downtown?
Well, the way we got into this is over a long term. The city of Memphis is not friendly to small business at all. We're friendly to major corporations. We got all of these tax incentives, and we're not taking care of our public, the things that small business depends on, like lower taxes because we're spending so much with tax incentives, or things like a good workforce so that they can actually hire people that are dependable. And so those are the types of things that small business, and over time, if you neglect those things, you're going to harm small business. And that's exactly what's happened in Memphis. And the crime rate's going to go up. If you rip off the city all the time, the crime rate is going up. It's unavoidable, not only in Memphis, but anywhere in the United States.
According to Mike Miller, who is the Memphis Restaurant Association president, he shared some of these challenges downtown restaurant owners are facing, and I want to get your reaction. They said downtown is by far the hardest hit area, and they were the hardest hit during COVID. Coming out of COVID, now crime issues, particularly in downtown, I think it's just a publicity issue. Went on to tell the local media, while crime is a component of why some businesses are not thriving, he believes the lack of promoting the restaurant scene is yet another issue. He said one of the problems has become a solution he's seeking with Memphis Mayor Paul Young. He said that the challenges facing Memphis businesses today are much greater than they were a decade ago. And I just look at this. It's a trend, Joe, because we're seeing more and more of these businesses impacted by all of the things we're talking about. You just mentioned. How does the city turn it around? Does it start by reducing the increasement of or increased taxes? Because every time we turn around, we're told if we just increase the taxes, if you pay a little bit more money out of your pocket, we will be able to address some of these issues.
Well, they have to start delivering value to taxpayers. Again, small business is really the community, and they depend on foundational good taxpayers or good public services. And it just starts with good foundational physical management, like price discovery. You go down there, there's no price discovery of what does something really cost, and they're constantly overpaying. And then you have all these tax incentives going to major corporations. We spend $80 million a year on tax incentives for corporations and developers. These are not small, while small business and residents pay full taxes. So you start addressing that. That's another thing that gets into price discovery. And you start, really physically managing the city in a way that yields return on investment for the community.
Those developers, do you continue seeing them build the quote unquote skyline of downtown Memphis in 2025 and 2026? I know the mayor is adamant that we revamp the Renaissance Convention Center, and to do that, you've got to buy the Sheraton Hotel, right?
Right.
It's what, 20 some $1 million plus an additional 30. It's going to be what, $30 million?
Yeah, I think they've given them. I mean, to me, it's insane that we ran this. Well, anyway, the investors at the Sheraton did not know what they were investing in Memphis. And they shut the trolley down. They didn't finish City Hall. They distracted their whole investment strategy with the Lowe's thing, as opposed to prioritizing the convention center first. Then the price dramatically dropped. They ran them out of town, the international investors, and they effectively gave the Sheraton Hotel to Chance Carlisle and Carolyn Hardy and an investment team. Gave it to them. And then they give them $8 million more to figure it all out and get it renovated to some extent. It's really, I mean, in
do
some
you
way,
think in 5-10 years, because they have so many rooms that are open right now? Honestly, Joe, I had no idea there were even rooms operating in the Sheraton.
Right.
I guess on the first couple of floors, they have some rooms open. They want to have it full capacity in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Do you see that pumping life back into Memphis? That's the solve to a lot of these conventions looking over Memphis because of one thing? They don't have a hotel.
Right.
That's the logic here.
Well, one of the target conventions they're trying to save is the Church of God in Christ, who is the biggest convention that comes to town. And so they're very focused on that. Can they make it better than it is right now? I think they probably can. But all of this was not necessary had they just taken care of the basics downtown. And so what we're really reaping is years of bad decision in downtown management, and that goes really to the Downtown Memphis Commission. If you wanted to the mayor and to the Downtown Memphis Commission, it's their fault. Strickland's fault, Downtown Memphis Commission's fault.
Mm-hmm. All right. So again, talking to Joe Kent, who's joining us in the studio, last show of 2024. Thank God. Ready for a new one, Joe. Joe is a career and workforce development consultant. Great guy. Two things that I want to hit with you. Your reaction to the word potholes and how many we have. Now, the city is saying they filled over 81.7 thousand potholes in 2024. But if you turn on the TV, if you look at the paper, it's like the number one story after the monsoon we got on Sunday. A lot of people say they are upset with the fact that we are paying more in taxes for all sorts of different things, and yet the potholes are plaguing the city.
Right. Well, I haven't really studied the pothole issue, but it's basically these core basic services that just don't seem like they're being delivered as we're paying higher and higher taxes. So it's not surprising to me that we have an exploding level. And the other thing that's up, this is another one. The stormwater, all the flooding that happened. We gave All World, another one of these groups down there, minority business. We gave them a $19 million no bid contract. Strickland did a couple of years ago, and then they've added more to it. So what's the status? What's going on with that stormwater program?
Yeah.
Just getting a readout of that. What have we fixed? What have we not fixed? This is fiscal management. What have we fixed? What have we not fixed? What do we need to fix? What areas of the city flooded that we haven't got around to? What areas of the city flooded that we have already paid for and addressed? They really need to go over that.
Yeah. All right. And we got a listener email. This would have been last week, so I hope they're listening. Are the trolleys coming back in 2025? If you look into a crystal ball, what do you expect with the trolleys?
Well, I think so.
Okay, good.
I think they'll be back.
They've
and,
gotta be.
and that's a good story. I mean, MATA is really functioning as a board. So that's a really good story. Now I've got a public information. I wrote a very positive article about Mayor Young and Emily Greer, who's chair of the MATA board. Wrote a very positive article. And guess what I did the next day? I sent a public information request to Emily Greer. So, and we'll see if she answers it.
Yeah.
But they are working hard. So I want to really say I'm really happy about Mayor Young's decision to do that, and also Emily Greer's leadership.
Well, they better be working hard. I was reading a story. The proposed interim CEO of MATA will be making $486 an hour, according to a new report. This is by WREG. They combed through the city is considering bringing on Transpro representative John Lewis as interim CEO of MATA to take over from the current interim. The cost proposal was proposed at MATA's board meeting 2 weeks ago, and it lists Lewis's, who will be the CEO's, labor at $486 an hour. Whew! And the total cost is more than $1 million with all of the other executives' labor costs as well. So I mean, my gosh, we're paying for that and are getting that much. I hope that it runs smoothly and successfully as we go into 2025.
If Transpro's the right consulting firm, I looked at the numbers on that. I think the numbers make sense if they're the right ones. We'll find out.
Okay. All right. Joe's going to stick around for one more segment. Why? Well, because Dr. Mightyfeagins is fighting for her career in the city of Memphis. Why? Well, because 5 school board members view her as incompetent. Is she? We break down the struggles happening within MSCS on the other side. Don't go away.
This is a Bloomberg.
So what crime was actually committed by Dr. Mightyfeagins? I'm still asking everybody. I mean, I don't even know if the school board chair even knows. So she releases a statement over the holiday period while we were off air. And welcome back to the morning show. We've got Joe Kent hanging out with us. As I said, Joe is a career workforce development consultant in the city of Memphis. Writes exceptional and fantastic pieces. And he joins us to talk about his latest one, which is about this crazy school board controversy. So, chair of the school board, Joyce Coleman, wrote the following in a press statement. She said, "I've received phone calls, emails, and some citizens have approached me in the community about my resolution to terminate the contract of Dr. Mightyfeagins. I voted to allow Dr. Fagins to respond to the resolution because I felt that it was the right thing to do, but my position has not changed." And basically goes on to say that I don't think that this controversy and all of the issues plaguing Dr. Mightyfeagins can overcome as a school body and board members. She says she's confident that this board will do what is best for the children, employees, and families. All right, Joe. So what did this woman, who was brought in after a hiring and an investigation research process where they combed through all of these different candidates, brought her from Detroit to Memphis, and now she's getting the boot? What was the crime?
I can't see anything. I mean, the charges they brought up appear to be typical, less than optimal things that happen in school districts across the country. So there's always something that's not perfect, and they're trying to nail her on that. So all that she did, she came in and did exactly what she said she was going to do in the interview process. And she had to, whoever came in was going to have to do major budget cuts with federal funding ending. They had to do that. And nobody is going to, any superintendent that does that, it doesn't matter who it is not going to be held up for their communication skills because they're delivering bad news to some people. And so that's what she did. And that ended up making a lot of people mad, I believe. And then, of course, the other restructuring that needs to happen anyway to transform the system is going to make some people mad too. So she's just doing her job and to transform the system, and they're trying to nail her own nickel and dime stuff.
You were telling me over the break you tried digging into some of the numbers within this school district, and you said it was shocking to you. And everybody knows it's a story in Tennessee. Our proficiency in math and reading, they're just not great. You were telling me over the break, you comb through the numbers, and they're not only not great, they are disastrous, specifically for the future of the city if these children are expected to become tomorrow's leaders. What did you find?
Well, I mean, the most alarming thing that I found was I go down to the county commission all the time, and they fund $500 million per year for education. And the only thing that they ever talk about is basically saying we are for literacy. Okay, come on, guys, we got to elevate the instructional conversation. Michael Whaley needs to do that.
Right.
We got to get beyond just talking about literacy. And what I found, and most of the time they might bring up K through reading. What I found was what the real problem is. Well, there's lots of problems, but the big problem is nobody in the city knows we have a middle school crisis, academic crisis, acute crisis. Nobody knows about it. You know, we're talking about 18,000 of the 22,000 middle school students are not proficient in reading or math out of 22,000. I mean, that is crazy. It's worse than the elementary, and nobody's talking about it. Nobody knows we have a middle school crisis in the city of Memphis, and we spend $500 million per year on education.
Where's the money going? You want to talk about crime? That to me, Joe, sounds like a crime. You have that many kids unable to read. It's appalling, and to see her on the verge of losing her contract when she hasn't even been on the job for a year.
For a year, right?
It's insane.
They didn't even give her a chance. They've stalked her ever since she's come up, been here. They've been stalking her.
It's one of the crazier stories of 2024. There's no question. Joe, have a happy new year.
Happy New Year to you. Thank you for having me.
In the meantime, guys, go to Stop Memphis Crime because this is a crime. And Joe wrote a piece and it was shared there, published there. And you've got to read down through it. It's called The Fagins Inheritance by our guest in studio, Joe B. Kent. You won't regret it. We'll be right back. More on the other side. Hour number